I'm David Wojcik from MBOT TV. From arrival to inspection, and what does the truck actually go through at the U.S. border? And where does this X-ray technology fit in? It's new technology. It's just started. It's not across the country, but in select centers. In this episode, we break down the journey, the technology in place, and what's ahead for the trade community. To help us with the discussion is Dean Witt. Dean is the founder of BorderWorks, a company that actively engages with U.S. and Canadian trade legislators, Canada Border Services Agency, and Customs and Border Protection on the U.S. side. Dean is a trusted authority on navigating complex regulatory landscapes while ensuring industry stakeholders are informed and connected. And he joins us for the conversation today. Welcome, Dean.
Thanks for having me, David.
But Dean, this X-ray technology, it's just come around, or we're just finding out about it. I'm not sure how long it's been around, how long it's been being in the testing phase, and now it's being rolled out. So give us the Reader's Digest version of when did it come about, when did they start testing, and how long has it been in effect now at the border crossings?
Okay, well, thank you, David. So X-ray technology has been around for quite a bit of time, but it's all been what's used as mobile X-ray units. So when the truck goes through the border and reaches the primary inspection, the officer will make a decision based on the congestion at the border or what the space is that they have at the border, and they'll refer the truck to X-ray. And what happens there is the driver pulls into a designated area, gets out of his vehicle, and then a mobile X-ray unit will pass over the vehicle from end to end. And what it's looking for is contraband X-ray of things that will show up to the officer that is an anomaly on the X-ray, which will then tell the officer whether or not they want to refer that truck to a secondary inspection. Now, for the Fort Erie Bridge, if anybody knows crossing the Fort Erie Bridge to Buffalo, it is a very limited area for U.S. Customs. And as a result, they can only process a small percentage of trucks at any given time. In 2021, U.S. Customs and the Department of Homeland Security made a decision that they wanted to introduce a non-intrusive, meaning the driver doesn't have to get out of his truck, and they want to be able to X-ray 100% of the vehicles coming into the United States. Up until this point, they've only been able to X-ray about 3%. So that's a huge difference in terms of their ability to be able to review and make a decision on those transport trucks.
So now do we understand correctly that 100% of the trucks are going through this X-ray process now? It's just like when you go to the airport, you put your bag down on the line and it runs through the machine and somebody's watching for things to light up on the other side. And if it lights up, the truck gets pulled aside. Is it very similar to that technology?
In a high level, yes, but here's what's happening. Because there's limited real estate on the Fort Erie side, on the Buffalo side, it's the first time that U.S. Customs is actually taking advantage of the real estate, the space on the Canadian side at Fort Erie. You'll notice if you travel as a passenger car, you'll notice to the right of you as you come down to the bridge, there's a huge open area which formerly used to stage trucks when the bridge got too heavy and they would hold trucks back from entering the bridge. They've actually struck an agreement with the Canadian side to erect this X-ray equipment, which is like a tunnel, except the truck drives through it. There's going to be 3 lanes. 2 lanes for regular size vehicles, meaning the 53-foot trailers, and 1 lane for oversized. And basically the truck's going to pass through there. And at that point, there'll be an RFI technology, there will be QR technology, and eventually facial recognition technology for them to assess both the driver and the cargo. Now, it went into a testing phase just a couple of years ago, and it is set up. Some of it is set up now, ready to go, but it's not fully been deployed until the Nuclear Safety Commission authorizes the use of the radiation on the Canadian side, which is quite frankly imminent to happen. And the equipment is basically plug and play. So we are expecting what we heard from U.S. Customs is late this summer that it becomes it fully into effect. And what this, sorry, go ahead.
And Dean, why did they decide on the Fort Erie Bridge when we know that the bulk of the traffic goes through other ports? So why did they select the Fort Erie Bridge to start with?
Well, depending on which statistics you look at, the Fort Erie Bridge is the third or fourth busiest bridge in North America. So, yes, we do follow Detroit, but Detroit again has real estate issues. However, the Gordie Howe Bridge has already been set up in order to be able to activate this technology. And this is the first occasion where they're going to put the technology on a foreign soil, meaning the officers will be doing the x-raying on the Canadian side, but there'll be no action taken on the truck. The truck will be free to cross the bridge. It'll be dealt with when they reach the primary inspection site on the U.S. side, and inspections will happen on the U.S. side. So the driver will not know whether he's subject to inspection or not when he passes through this x-ray.
So he'd be going to a U.S. prison, not a Canadian prison. Dean, what's the rollout now for the other bridges? You mentioned the Gordie Howe, we've got the Peace Bridge, Lewiston Bridge. We've got the tunnel that in Detroit. Maybe I don't think maybe a lot of trucks don't go through the tunnel. But right. What's the rollout looking like for the bridges, the other bridges that are across Canada that link the U.S. and our country?
Well, the good news is the equipment is pretty standard and it's already been bidded, already been purchased. U.S. Customs had a mandate in 2021 that they would have 100% non-intrusive inspections within 6 years. That's 2027. Now, I suspect that they always run slightly behind. So I would say that between 2027 and 2028, this is going to be in effect. And it's going to make a difference for commercial cargo holders and carriers crossing the border, just simply because of the scale in which they're going to be able to inspect that they couldn't do before.
Dean, that brings me to the question of cost savings. How much is this going to increase trade, reduce congestion? We know that when those trucks, when they back up at the bridges, they're burning fuel. It's costing money. It costs, driver time as well. What's the financial impact that we can anticipate with this new technology?
Well, presently they scan approximately 3% of the carriers, and from them, they would then refer a certain number of trucks to a secondary inspection location where it will be looked at and examined at that point. So imagine if they can now look at 100% of the trucks. And even U.S. Customs has said they're actually not intending to do 100%. Because of the timing, before the truck was literally at the port of entry of Buffalo when the x-ray were to take place. So the officer had to make a decision in a matter of a few seconds on what they wanted to do. Now they're going to have a few minutes while that truck is going over the bridge, which is significantly improving their ability to target selected cargo, selected trucking companies, conveyances, and such. So there's going to be an increase of secondary inspections. And every secondary inspections could be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, while that truck is then parked, unloaded, inspected by customs, and then reloaded. So their estimation is that we probably will see about a 10-fold increase in the number of trucks that will be pulled in for inspection. That will generate a cost that those carriers then or brokers pass back to the customers who are paying for the cargo on that truck. So that means it's going to be an increased cost based on the enforcement side. Now, to answer your question, if a carrier is compliant, if they're fast approved and they're a low risk carrier, then it's going to allow them to move through much quicker because they no longer have the uncertainty by the time they reach primary. They already have that driver understood. They already have the cargo understood. So by rights, the good operators will be able to go through quite easily. The ones that are lacking that kind of a profile with customs, they're going to find themselves probably inspected more frequently.
And anytime we can speed things up and catch the bad guys at the border, it's better for everybody. We've been in discussion with Dean Wood. Dean is the president of BorderWorks Logistics. I'm David Wojcik for MBOT TV Zoomcast, and as always, we wish you continued success in your business.